All right, we are here ready to talk about dividing multi-digit numbers. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, so we're not going to review all of division here because you already know how to divide with a single-digit number. We're just going to now practice the same steps with multi-digit numbers. So this should be pretty straightforward for you. Here's an example of 250.8 divided by 38. Okay, so the first thing you would do is probably set it up a little bit differently. How would you set it up?
Well, you would have that thingy.
Yeah, the thingy. So let's go ahead and write the thingy. Yeah, that's good. So this is the kind of division setup here where you put the 250.8 inside and then the 38 outside. And there you're going to put write numbers up here that are going to end up being your answer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So now let's just review what the steps are here. So when you divide, what you're doing is you're first going from left to right. So you're going to put numbers going this direction here, not the other way around. And with each step, you're going to find the greatest multiplier. And then you're going to subtract to get a remainder, bring down the next number, and then you're going to keep going until you're at the end and you have no remainder left at all. Or in other words, a remainder of 0. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So let's go ahead and start. So here we have, does 38 divide into 2?
No.
No. How about into 25?
No.
Nope. How about into 250?
Yeah.
Okay, so 38 will divide into 250. Now we have to figure out how many times. When you actually do these problems, it's probably a pretty good idea to have some scratch paper so that you can go ahead and write the what the calculation is here. And what we figured out here is that, and you might have to try this several times. You might have to try 38 times 5 or 38 times 7 to figure out what it is. But here we figure out that 38 times 6 is 228. That's almost as big as 250. You can't fit another 38 between 228 and 250. So the right first number there is 6. But again, you might have to try a few times to figure that out. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Okay, good. So now we're going to multiply the 6 times the 38, and we're going to put that product right down here. So we'll go ahead and do that. So the 6 times the 38 we knew from over here is 228. Now what are we going to do?
Subtract 228 from 250.
Good. So let's do that. And we're going to go ahead and probably have to do a little bit of work on the side again to figure out what that is. We did this really quickly for you right here, and that ended up being 22. So now we're going to write that 22 right down here. And then what would the next step be?
Drop down the 8.
Yeah, perfect. There is one little step here that you want to really make sure and do before you drop down 8, and that's because we have this decimal. And we always need to bring up the decimal to the exact same spot. So let's do that first. You can see that little decimal showed up. And now we bring down the 8. Now, we made this kind of easy because how many times does 38 go into 228? You can look over here.
6.
6, right? So actually we know that the next number is going to be 6. And 38 times 228, we would write down, 6 times 38 is 228. We write that down there. Then what do we do?
Subtract.
Subtract, and what do we get?
0.
0. So then we're to this last step here. We've kept going until you're at the end and you have a remainder of 0. So what's your answer to the problem then?
6.6.
Good. So we would write that as our answer. Okay, so let's just really quickly remember what it is that some of the strategies that we use. First, remember that decimal point, okay? You wouldn't accidentally want to say your answer was 66, right?
No, you wouldn't.
Okay. And then another good thing is to use estimation. So let's say, for instance, that you had forgotten the decimal point. You're like, okay, my answer is 66. But then you could say, 38, that's kind of like 40. 40 into 250, that's kind of like 6 times. So 66 doesn't sound right. So it's always good to use estimation to make sure that your answer is kind of where it should be. Go ahead and use those side calculations. You can also check your answer with a calculator. And then you'll get better at this if you just practice, practice, practice. Sound good?
Sound good.
Okay, good job.